Hello friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. Today we are going to make a St. Patrick's rainbow themed cake topper since it is almost St. Patrick's Day, and look at how gorgeous this is. This cake topper is made with 100% shed-free glitter cardstock, but also has a little bit of HTV and vinyl in it just to make your lives a little bit easier in the assembly process. These tips and tricks right here is something that I use daily in my own shop, just so it makes my life easier. The supplies of everything that I'm gonna be using is linked in the description of the video, so if you wanted to make the same exact cake topper, you can totally go ahead and shop. The 100% shed-free glitter cardstock is found in my cardstock shop. Absolutely love it. And the weight, we are using a full spectrum of rainbow colors here. And look, shed-free. You can't get anything off of this. You are also going to need a little bit of vinyl and HTV. I'm going to be using Tech Wrap HTV and transfer tape and also their vinyl. I have a mirror metallic gold from them, just a black HTV and their transfer tape. You're also going to need like a mini heat press. You could do a full-size heat press for this, but I prefer with my paper projects and smaller projects just to have the mini heat press. You are going to need a heat gun or a glue gun. A squeegee, you can use a credit card as well. I'm going to be using Super Tight Precision Craft Glue for all of my paper gluing. And then I use the Crystal Quintana a lot to pick up my small little pieces of paper. You're going to need a weeding tool or pin. I'm absolutely obsessed with these weeding pins. They are amazing. I have no idea why I slept on this thing for so long. Okay, the other thing that you are going to need is a cake stick of some sort. These clear ones I sell in my cardstock shop. I love them because it gives it like a next level bougie look to a cake topper. But also you can find these off Amazon and they are just like a flat wooden sandwich stick that you could use in place as well. It would kind of give it this look where you could see the wood versus it just being clear. And so when it's stuck into your cake, it looks like it's floating there because you can't see the clear stick. All right, let's get to the design process and then the cut and assembly part. Okay, so this is what our finished cake topper is going to look like. I'm just going to move it over to the side just so we can see what we're working with and what to compare it to. First, let's start with making the rainbow portion because honestly, that's going to be the hardest part. It shouldn't be that difficult, but it is going to be the hardest part. We're going to go into shapes and we're just going to insert a circle. I'm going to go ahead and make this 6 inches big. Then what we want to do is start creating our layers. Let's pretend that this dark gray circle is going to be red. So I'm just going to make that red. Then we're going to go in here into offset. And instead of going out with our offset, we are going to go in. So let's do minus 0.03 and press the tab on our keyboard. You see how we have a very, very thin outline. It's very hard to see, but there's this black line right here. That's too thin. So let's do 0.1 and see what happens. The beauty of making your own files is that you can create it any width that you want. If you want a thicker rainbow, which is what I have here, we're just going to keep going 0.3. That seems to be pretty thick for me. So let's do negative 0.25. And I like the width of this right here. Again, this is just whatever preference that you want. So we're going to press apply and then let's change this over into orange. And we're going to go into offset again, and we're going to keep it the same width and press apply. We are now going to change this to yellow. Then clicking on the yellow again, we're going to press offset and we're going to keep it the same. Do you see what we're doing? We're just creating this inside target looking thing. Change this over into green and we have another offset. So we're going to offset again and we're going to go the same number, pressing apply, turning this to blue. Clicking the blue, offset, negative 0.25, press apply, changing this to purple, and we need one more color. So we have that purple highlighted, do offset, and we're gonna make this pink. Okay, then what we want is we're gonna need this little hip part, the inside portion of our arch. So we're gonna do offset again, and we're gonna do the same number as what we've done before, plus apply, and we're gonna keep that black. Okay, the next thing you wanna do is go back into shapes, and we are going to just insert a square and we're going to need this to be a little bit larger. So coming up here into our lock button And we are just going to drag this over. So it needs to be larger than the outside of our circle, our largest circle. And then because our largest circle is 6 inches tall, we're gonna make this rectangle 3 inches tall. And then we need to duplicate this 7 times. Because we have 7 colors, we need 7 rectangles. So 1, Command D, which is duplicate. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what we want to do is take our cursor and select everything, all of the rainbow circles in these little rectangles, and we're going to align it to the center. Okay, then I'm going to highlight just my rectangles. So you see how I only stuck to the very left of this? I only want those rectangles. I'm going to align them to the bottom, and then I'm going to press group, so Command G. Next, what I want to do is selecting all of my circles, and I'm going to Command G those two. Now selecting both of these, I'm going to align these to the bottom. Okay, so let's go back into our rainbow circles. I'm going to Command Shift G, which is ungroup. You also can right click and then this will pop up, but I'm using some keyboard shortcuts. Okay, selecting my black circle, pressing Shift on my keyboard, and then also clicking on the pink circle. I'm going to press Slice. I'm going to delete this pink circle, but leaving this black and then this slice portion right here. So now with that black circle, I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard and then selecting that purple circle and pressing Slice. Now I'm going to delete the purple circle, leaving that black and then that donut looking thing. So selecting that black circle, pressing Shift on my keyboard, and then that blue circle, pressing Slice. Same thing, deleting the blue circle, keeping the donut and that black circle. With the black circle, pressing Shift on my keyboard, I'm going to select my green circle and press Slice. Same thing, delete the circle, keep the donut, leave the black circle. Now we need that black circle highlighted, Shift on the keyboard, and then press the yellow, press Slice. Deleting the yellow circle, leaving the donut and that black circle. Selecting the black circle again, going to the orange and pressing Slice. Deleting the orange circle, leaving the donut and that black circle. Selecting the black circle and doing the red, and then we're going to press Slice. Now this time we are going to delete the red circle and the black circle. See how we now have the arch to our rainbow? That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so going over into the rectangles, we're going to Command Shift and G, which is ungroup. So we're going to take the very top of our rectangle and our donut of a red and press Slice. We are going to delete this portion, and then we're also going to delete this portion. Now selecting our rectangle, pressing Shift on our keyboard and our orange donut, we're going to press Slice. Deleting this, and now deleting this. Doing the same thing, selecting one rectangle, Shift on our keyboard, and then that yellow, pressing Slice. Deleting this, deleting this. For the next rectangle, pressing Shift on the keyboard and that green, we're going to press Slice. Deleting this, and deleting this. Now we're going to select that next rectangle, Shift on our keyboard, and then that blue, we're going to press Slice. Deleting this. Next rectangle, Shift on our keyboard, and then that purple, we're going to press Slice. Deleting this. All right, last donut. Selecting our rectangle, Shift on our keyboard, and then that pink, we're going to press Slice. Deleting this. And now we have a perfectly aligned and centered rainbow that has all the perfect widths. So what you're going to be left with is something that looks like this with a bunch of different layers. Okay. And now we're going to need some clouds in that pot of gold. So I'm just going to go over here into images and I'm going to add in some clouds. So I'm just going to search up clouds in the design space, images, and we're just going to select any clouds that we want to use. I'm going to do a couple different just because it gives it a little bit more dimension. We're only going to do the clouds for right now. Oh, these got really big. So I'm going to make this out to be 3 inches. Okay, and I want these to be white. So I'm going to change, selecting all 3 of my clouds. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change it to white. And I'm just going to rearrange these. See how this one's to the back? We'll arrange it to the front. And this one is to the back, so we'll arrange it to the front. And I'm just going to rearrange these, adding more, some, deleting. It's eyeballing it to whatever you like. If you would like another one, just press Command D on the keyboard, and then we will drag it over. Okay, we're going to need this pot of gold. So go back over here into images, and let's search up pot of gold. And then we're going to keep scrolling until we find the one we like. Okay, this was the one that I used previously, so I'm going to use that one. It looks totally different than what we ended up using because I'm going to customize it to my liking. And then press Add to Canvas. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to make him bigger just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, I don't want this like weird shadow looking thing, right? So I'm going to delete that. Now the shadow stayed in the outline, which is fine. So I'm just going to right click and press ungroup, and I'm going to delete this. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I do not have a shadow. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of this. We're going to come up here into offset, and we're going to create an offset. You can create it any width that you want, just eyeballing it to whatever it is that you like most. For me, I'm going to use 0.15 and press apply. So now we have that offset. Let me drag this over so you can see. Okay, I'm going to change this over into a dark charcoal gray. That's just going to tell me that this portion right here is going to be a different material than the black in the actual cauldron, just so I don't mess up in the cutting process thinking that I'm supposed to cut everything in like glitter cardstock or HTV. Okay, and our cauldron currently right now is green, 2 different greens. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to press Shift on the keyboard, selecting that pot of gold, the other green, and I'm going to change this over into black, and then I'm going to press attach. Now here is the gold. The gold is 2 different colors right now. So I'm going to select the gold, pressing Shift on my keyboard, and that other piece of gold. I'm going to change this over to both being the same color, and then I'm going to press attach. Dragging this back over, I'm going to line up the back portion outline with the rest of everything. And I'm going to select everything. I'm going to Command G, which is group. Okay, now let's resize this to our cake topper. Okay, and now we're going to need our font. This font that I'm using is called Alistoria. It is a downloaded font that I found on dafont.com. It will be linked in the description of the video. And I also have previous videos where I show you how to download fonts to get them into Inkscape. If you don't know how to do that, go watch that, and then you can learn how to download fonts. We're going to come over here into text, and I'm going to write the word lucky. Click out of that and drag this over so you can see. Now we're going to go over here into font, and I'm going to go into system because it is a system font, and I'm just going to find that font, and it's this right here. Press that font, and I'm just going to make it bigger. And actually, I did remember when I was making this that my L, I liked a different font for the L. This one, it's all right, you know, not my favorite, but I do like a different font. So I'm going to press Command D, which is duplicate. I'm going to keep it the same size. I'm going to come over here into font, going to systems, clicking on font, and then I'm going to do Magic Retro. So having both of these, I'm going to Command Shift G, which is ungroup. And here is our L. I'm going to delete everything else. So for this, I'm going to Command Shift G, which is ungroup, and I'm going to delete the L because we don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to drag this over, and I'm going to resize everything in any way that you want. I'm going to scoot this over to the left just a little bit. I'm going to rearrange the spacing just a little bit. Okay, when you have it the way you want it, select all and press attach. And we're going to change this over into the dark green. Now I want my offset, so I'm going to come over here and press offset, and we're just going to make this any width that we want. When you have it the way you want, press apply. Now I don't want to use black HTV for this. I want to use the black glitter cardstock. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to change this over into what I have now determined to be my black glitter cardstock. So that dark charcoal gray is what I'm going to use for glitter cardstock. Okay, then all you want to do is just re-put this into our cake topper, putting it wherever you want, just wherever. Okay, I'm going to delete this right now, and then we're just going to have this one. If you wanted to resize this, if you wanted a smaller cake topper, larger cake topper, you would resize this. You would select all and resize everything together. You're going to select everything and Command D, which is duplicate. And you're going to combine and then weld. The reason why we're doing this is so we are going to hide the ugly later. All the glue marks, the stick that you're going to put in for your cake topper, we're going to hide all the ugly. So we have that, and now I'm going to change this over into a white. However, the white that I'm using for the clouds is going to be glitter cardstock. So I'm just going to go into advanced. I'm going to change it to like a different shade of white because I want to make this a plain white cardstock. Okay, and because sometimes when we lay our cardstocks on the Cricut mats, it kind of gets a little jagged and ugly looking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now take my shadow and I'm going to flip it horizontally. That way, the ugly part that is going to get put on the mat is going to be hidden inside the ugly when we go to glue it. Okay, and then all you want to do is come over here and to make it. And here are all our pieces. Now remember, when it comes to HTV, if you're using HTV for this project, which I'm going to, you're going to come over here and you're going to mirror it. You want to make sure you mirror it. And then for everything else, I'm going to be using cardstock and you know what? For this one, remember how I'm going to use glitter cardstock for this, but this I'm going to use that metallic gold. Okay, so because I don't want to go back over the cut screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press these 3 dots and I'm going to say move object. And I'm going to go into a new mat and I'm going to do a different yellow and press confirm. So now my metallic gold coins are on a different mat than the yellow arch of my rainbow. So when I go to cut this, I'm going to use glitter yellow for my rainbow. And when it's time to cut for this mat, I'm going to do the metallic gold for this. And then everything else, I always double check to make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to. Yep. Looks good. All right, so go ahead and cut all of this out and then meet me back here and we'll assemble it together. Okay, when you have everything cut out, I generally put everything in piles just to make sure it's nice and organized. For the vinyl, you will need like transfer tape, but then you all will need a weeding tool and then you just want to weed out the excess. So whatever you don't want on your cake topper is what you need to weed out. Tech wrap vinyl, I swear, is the easiest thing to weed. Look at that. Generally, when it comes to metallic vinyl, it's like the hardest to work with, but that just weeded out like a breeze. Did not have any issues with it. This is their HTV, their black HTV. And there we go, all done. Love it. Okay, so when it comes to vinyl, you have all of your stuck onto like this clear sheet, right? And it's like a sticker. So you're gonna wanna be able to stick this onto another thing. That's what this transfer tape is for. The transfer tape, you're gonna peel it away, keeping the sticky part. And we're just gonna lay this on top of our vinyl. Taking like a brayer, a credit card, or something that will rub on it nice and good. And then when we're ready to apply it, we turn it around and we peel the back portion out. And then our vinyl sticker should be on the transfer tape and not on our carrier sheet. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do the gluing of the cardstock. I'm gonna be using Precision Craft Glue by Super Tight. You can see my bottle is really worn because I love this stuff. I'm just gonna put a dab of glue on the back of the letter and lay it down. Okay, then you can see that I didn't pop out some of the cutouts of that black glitter cardstock. So I'm just gonna take my little crystal katana and I'm just gonna punch them out. Perfect, cute. Okay, I'm gonna move over to the red and keeping my red down, I'm just gonna take some glue around the outside perimeter of the orange. Doing the same thing, we're just gonna add a little bit of glue. A little bit of glue goes a whole long way. And I'm just gonna glue it all together. I'm not gonna worry about them lining up just perfectly just yet because after we get it all nice and glued on there, we are going to adjust them with our hands and using our table. Okay, working really quickly, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lay this down flat Because we made sure that everything was lined up at the very bottom in our design, all we're going to do is just lay that down, making sure everything is lined up at the very bottom, and then we're going to press down. And because we sliced all the way through on the inside portion of this, everything on the inside is going to line up perfectly as well. And look at that. Oh, look at how cute. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna let those two dry and then we're gonna work on our pot of gold. First, we're gonna take our HTV and we're gonna line this up with the outline that we created. Probably should make sure that our little heat press is nice and heated up. Okay, when our little heat press is nice and heated up, you don't need a whole lot of pressure. You just want to activate the glue to make it stick onto the cardstock. We're just gonna rub it on there. You don't need a whole lot of pressure. You don't need a whole lot of heat. Roll this off. And if it starts to come up off the cardstock, just add a little bit more heat to it, activating that glue. There we go. Now you can see it's on there. Okay, when it comes to the vinyl, you want to give it a really good rub. One more time. And then we're going to roll this, turn this upside down, and we're going to roll away the original carrier sheet away from the transfer tape. Okay, there is that. Then you just want to line this up with our outline that we created. Okay, with that still stuck there, I'm going to lay my original carrier sheet for my HTV back on top of everything, and I'm going to zap it real quick with a little bit of heat. So then when you pull this off, everything stays there, and it was like a little bit of effort, but look at that. How stinking cute. Okay, so going over into, we're gonna start assembling the actual cake topper now because all of our little pieces are glued besides the clouds. We're gonna use the back of this as guides as to where we're gonna put the clouds. So I have a clear acrylic cake stick. You could also use a wood one. It just depends on your preference. I like the wood ones because they're nice and flat, but I do like the clear acrylic cake sticks just because they give it a little bit more of a bougie look to things. And I'm gonna stick this like in the middle of my cake topper. Using a hot glue gun, just do a little bead of hot glue and I'm gonna lay the cake topper stick right down in the middle, just like that. Okay, so the very back portion of our cake topper was our rainbow. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of glue around just the edges of my rainbow and I'm gonna lay this down. The next thing that we had on our cake topper was our pot of gold. So I'm going to do the same thing, just only focusing on the outside of my cutout and laying that down, lining it up with the back outline of our topper. Now this portion right here needs a little bit of hot glue. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and just put a little bead down at the bottom of the rainbow. Line it back up and push that down. There we go. Okay, then we have the clouds. I'm going to use, because this is going to be a little bit higher and thicker, I'm going to just use a little bit of bead of glue. Okay, I'm going to add some hot glue to these clouds just to give it a little bit more dimension. Okay, for the lettering, because I'm gluing down onto an acrylic cake stick, even if you're using a wood one, I would still use this glue for it. I'm not going to use the Precision Craft Glue. I'm going to use my hot glue and I'm going to do a nice good line around the entire outline. You do have to work quick or your hot glue will dry up. And then I'm going to turn this around and I am just going to line it up just like we have been with everything else. And look at our finished cake topper. Look at that, it is so stinking cute. And because we did the back portion as a full weld and then we mirrored it, now all the ugly is hidden in there. All the glue marks, all the layers, the ugly layers, the back of the stick, it's all hidden. And now what's left is this beautiful cake topper. I sure hope you have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. And I also hope I inspired you to make. I will see you later.